Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me, Dave Knight, for this week's podcast, which is number 60 in our series, and it happens to be the first video podcast that I'm recording also, so we'll see how this goes, shall we? A warm welcome to you all as we get straight into this 9pm Sunday Saturday, which is all about wrapping up Series 6. These weekly individual podcasts are wrapped up into tailored bulletproof yourself packages to help people overcome different areas of challenge in their lives, and these can be viewed on our website via sundaysettler.com, and if you just click on the Bulletproof Yourself page there. This week's Sunday Settler is entitled Series 6 Wrap Up, Mental Health and Leaving Lockdown, and we'll reflect on our journey together so far up to this point, as well as specifically considering any changes or insights that may have taken place over the last couple of months or so. And I'll ask some prompter questions perhaps in this episode based on the topics that we've covered in Series 6. And I'd also like to offer some quick tips, if you like, on dealing with those experiences of nervousness, worry, anxiety that we have from time to time, perhaps in relation to this period of transition that we're in right now, let's say. So please get yourself into your relaxing space for 10 to 15 minutes. This is your time. It seems quite poignant to me anyway that we're coming towards the end of a series at a time when we've more or less come to the end of the lockdown period, and most people I know they're back to work doing part-time, part furlough or part work, let's say, or the odd freelancer jobs have popped up again in an industry that wasn't supposed to be moving again until sometime next year, at the very least anyway. And perhaps one of the biggest changes for parents, and me being a parent also, is our children going back to school, and mine did this week. And it really felt as though we've come out of lockdown now. And on the eve of their first day back at school, I laid down cuddling my children, and we were talking about the last 6 months or so and what memories stand out for them. They listed them all, and we looked at photos together. It was brilliant. Remember that day. Remember when we did this. Remember when we did that. It was absolutely lovely to do this with them. Then there was a hint of nervousness and sadness as they wanted to continue with studying at home, and they didn't know what to expect at school when they go back. They said they'll miss home and all those kind of things. So we spoke about it and how normal it is to feel those kind of feelings, and that we don't need to be fearful of those experiences when we have them, because as we know, quite often being fearful of the experience in the first place is quite often the biggest challenge that we have. And as adults we experience these kind of things ourselves, don't we, but relative to our adult life, in the sense of the lives that we lead. And perhaps some of those questions, concerns or experiences that we've been having might be, how will we transition back into our busy lives again? Are we able to cope, let's say? Do we really want our lives back now, our old lives that is? What will the expectations be of us? We're feeling anxious about what the future holds, being worried about losing the balance that we've managed to get in our lives, and we want to keep hold of that balance somehow. Those kind of things, plus many more, no doubt. That's not an exclusive list. Many people have shared with me over the last few months their feelings of nervousness, and in going back to what their old lives were previously, or just not wanting to go back to what it was like. If that sounds a little bit like you, you're not alone in having that experience. Excuse me. And as part of this series wrap up, I'd like to offer some quick tips that might help with that. And the first one is to start and keep a routine. I've spoke about this quite a lot over the last few months in various places, and keeping a routine, the benefit of having a routine cannot be overstated. It really can't. A routine is something that we can keep on doing no matter what is going on in our lives, or whatever is thrown at us. And we've had a big sledgehammer, haven't we, thrown at us over this year. The routine is our foundation. It really is a pillar. It provides structure and can be a protective barrier for us. We don't need to think about it. We just do it. And as a result, we worry less. The second tip is to use the gift that you've been given as a human being to question your experience when thinking about the future. And the reason I say that is because many of us, me included, can get ourselves innocently caught up and lost in our thinking, those clouds of thinking that we have about the future and the unknown. And the reality is, we've always lived in the unknown, and from that point of view, there is no change. There is no change. Being worried or scared about those normal feelings or that experience of life is often the biggest challenge. And we've never had control, although it might be so compelling that we do have control over the future. We don't. We've never had control over the future. It just looks that way. And what we do have control of is now, right now, the present moment. So what can we do right now as our first step? What can we do right now? The third tip is realise that you're an expert in adapting, evolving, embracing change, and you always have been. You always have been. And quite often we just don't give ourselves the credit we deserve for it. However, we've always adapted and changed, and albeit perhaps reluctantly at times, we always have had to adapt in our lives. The fourth thing is to consider and share. And this is a big one also, because how might others be feeling during this period of, let's say, transition? Is there anything or anything we can do, or anyone we can reach out to? Can you share with someone that you trust to share some of your experiences? And in doing this, it helps to take the spotlight, if you like, off your own feelings also, which is as a matter of fact, it's a good way to dealing with imposters as well. But it helps to take the spotlight off your own feelings, as well as seeing that your experiences are normal in having a conversation about it. And when we do that, when we do those kind of things, we're more in a position to embrace our experience, to change, and to understand we will always have ourselves in any situation. We've always got ourselves, whether that be in a period of lockdown or any other area of change in our lives. And we've faced lots of those, haven't we, this year? So the end of a Sunday Settler series also is a perfect opportunity to consider any movements in our understanding, insights, changes perhaps, perspectives, or even what has just remained the same for us, let's say. And perhaps some of these questions might prompt you to consider what if anything has changed for you. So the first one is, how do we think differently about those routines in our lives, and the way that they impact or can impact our well-being for the better? If we haven't thought about those routines as yet, what would be the first step towards getting one? In terms of those goals that we set ourselves with the aim to feel happy, are we able to see how our happiness does not depend on success markers, material things and achievements? It's standalone, it really is. Are we more content to just be where we are right now, and there's nothing to get away from as such, like needing to get away on holiday? The unknown quantity of life can appear daunting to us, can't it? And which perhaps has been heightened over the main part of this year due to lockdown. But are we just able to approach things in a more assured way, knowing that we've always lived in the unknown? Have we been able to question our experiences more and more, to consider if we need to go and rush for a pharmaceutical cure after all? Are we more in control of our thinking and feeling states than we initially thought and gave ourselves credit for? Do we feel more comfortable to share our experiences with someone that we trust? And if we haven't done that yet, who might be that person you can confide in, who we can share with? Do you realise after all that what has been getting in the way of your motivation to change? The simplicity of motivation perhaps has been recognised, and you're starting to think about those kind of things. As always, we have the ability to question our experiences and whether we want to take them seriously or believe them to be true, as we can be led by these misunderstandings, can't we, about where they come from. And when I reflect on my earlier career across mental health and addiction services, I can see how that is the case for most people. I really can. And when we experience an insight around our experiences, a shift in our understanding, we realise there's nothing to worry about after all. This is because whatever our experiences, they're coming from us and not the world around us, as we've learnt and been led to believe over time. If that was the case, we would all feel the same way about those life events, scenarios and curveballs, let's say, when they occur. And so as we come towards the end of this series, end of series 6, and time has flown by, it's been an amazing journey, it really has. As we come to the end of the series, I wanted to say a huge thank you to you and all the new subscribers to the Sunday Settler podcast, for sticking with me on this journey and up until now. And I hope you continue to stay on the journey with me. And it's been a great ride. And over the next couple of weeks or so, I will be taking some time to plan ahead for some great topics for the up and coming Series 7. I'm sure we can cover some great topics and keep the requests coming also for new topics. I always value those. And I just want to keep on offering you more and more seeds, if you like, to the understanding of our health and well-being. What is really creating our experiences? Because if you catch on, as I did, I had that big insight back in September 2018, which I've shared a few times now in different ways. When you experience an insight about where your experience is coming from in one area of your life, you really can apply that to any area in your life. You really can. And it changes the whole trajectory. And this podcast perhaps has been the seed to thinking in that way, or pointing you towards that direction of thinking anyway. But in this podcast, I guess, to wrap up Series 6, we've used the opportunity. It's been a great opportunity to consider what has changed, and for you, for any of us, or if anything at all, or perhaps things have stayed the same. And those insights that we know can quite often happen and we don't even know that they've happened. Things just look differently, seem differently, or we're different. We're reacting differently to our usual stressful situations, let's say. And all this is due to our perspective and our thinking in the moment, our quality of thinking. And we've considered some of the feelings that the children in our lives might be experiencing when we're transitioning during this period, and as well as those relative experiences that we have as adults, let's say, with some quick tips to help those feelings of anxiety for you, or nervousness, worry and panic that we may experience from time to time. I really appreciate you tuning into this podcast for this first video. I hope it's been received well, of course, and if it's been of interest to you, please like and share across all of your platforms. I really do appreciate it. I'm so grateful for it, and let's help to share the impact of this work. Subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't already done so. Check out those wellbeing packages as we come out of lockdown to help protect your well-being, not just for now but for the longer term as well. They're life tools to sort of keep with you. And if you're feeling a little lost or stuck at the moment and think you would benefit from an initial call with someone regarding a challenge in your life, call me and we can take it from there. And quote Series 6, Mental Health and Lockdown, and you'll receive that 20-minute free intake call, 10% off your first full session with me, and availability over the telephone for an additional 15 minutes in between our sessions to recap anything that needs clarity. But in the meantime, I just want to say thanks again for listening, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you very soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll speak to you in the week. Bye for now.